Hey, welcome back to the How to Podcast series. It's Dave. Glad to be with you. Hope your world is sunny and beautiful. And if it's cloudy, it'll be sunny tomorrow. Stick around. That's kind of how weather works. Glad to have you here. I want to point your attention to a past episode of the How to Podcast series. Can I do that? Will you allow me to do that? Well, it's my show, so I'm going to do it anyway. Episode 197. We had Rachel Lacey on. She is the co-founder of Kids Pod. It's an app for kids. It's in the name. And it's an app that allows your kids to have screen-free, there's a keyword, screen-free podcast listening experience. So if your kids are addicted to your phone or their tablets or their whatever, imagine them playing with their toys on the floor, listening to a podcast for kids, like created for kids, with no commercials, no video, no screen to be staring at like zombies. No, they can do something else. They can color, they can play, they can do whatever they want, and still enjoy podcasting, going to bed at night. Okay, it's bedtime, screens are off, time for a podcast story to help your kids fall asleep. They might listen to the same episode every night for the rest of their life, which would be great stats, by the way, and an idea for you to create a kids podcast. But imagine having a screen-free alternative to Apple and Spotify and YouTube and video. Your kids need a break from their screens. Enter Kids Pod. The app is free for you. There is a paid tier which will give you bonus things if you're so inclined. But go check out Kids Pod. And episode 197, a link in the show notes for those in the back who are like, what's the show notes? Well, you need to learn a little bit about the lingo of podcasting. There's a link in the notes. And I'd love for you to go check out Kids Pod, my interview with Rachel, as we talked about this new platform that came out a while ago. And it is a great tool for you to put in front of your kids. If you got young kids and you don't want them on their screens and you're afraid of YouTube and where your kids might end up, then try the Kids Pod app. It's free, people. Come on. And support a app designed for kids. We need kids to be involved as listeners in podcasting. So, try Kids Pod. Here's a little ad for Kids Pod. Again, we're not sponsored here. This is not an ad that we're making money from. I just wanted to put this in front of you as a parent. That if you're looking for an alternative, a safe alternative for your kids to enjoy podcasting, try Kids Pod. Here's the ad.
Hey parents, looking for a screen-free way to spark your child's imagination? Discover Kids Pod, the ultimate app for kid-friendly podcasts. With Kids Pod, your little one can explore a world of stories, learning, and fun, all through the magic of audio. It's safe, engaging, and best of all, free to download. Join the countless families enjoying a healthier alternative to screen time. Download Kids Pod today. Trust me, it's a decision you won't regret.
So there you go. An ad for a podcast app for kids within a podcast about podcasting. I think, and a short commercial, by the way, I think that's completely doable. And I don't think you skipped that. I hope you didn't. If you did, go back and listen to that because it was really good. And it's a great service for kids. And that's an idea of how you can place an ad into your podcast and just keep moving forward, Dave. Keep going. Today, we're going to talk about tuning in and how to harmonize with your guests and how to harmonize with your audience, resulting in a better podcast. I've been a musician. Now I'm going to sound old. My parents put me in music when I was 10. And I'm not 10 anymore, by the way, just a shocker for you. And I had the choice between accordion and guitar. Now, when I was little, I had the foresight to think into the future and go, now, I don't want to be Weird Al Yankovic, and I don't want to be a polka king. I think I'm going to take guitar. He's taking guitar for his choice, everyone. Yeah, I chose guitar. And I took Royal Conservatory of Music Yeah, Royal Conservatory of Music is kind of a kind of nose up a little bit official teaching and courses and classes and exams and doing like mini concerts for your family and all that stuff, right? And I hated it. Why? Because I had to do it. And my friends didn't. So baseball, fun outside, street hockey, riding my bike was a big nope. Dave, go practice. And I had this, okay, here we go. I had a kitchen timer back in the day, and you'd turn it to a number, and it would tick, 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 count back down. And for some reason, I thought that I could turn up time. The opposite of what Cher sings about, instead of turning back time, if I could turn back, I could turn time forward, kind of a Back to the Future thing. And I would just kind of slightly turn the timer ahead a little bit so that it ended sooner. Do you think I fooled my parents that a half hour was 5 minutes? No, but I thought I was doing great. I figured out how to change the world and rehearse less, practice less by just playing with the timer. And sometimes it worked. I don't know how, but sometimes it worked and I got to go do whatever. So I didn't love guitar when I first was enrolled. 4 years every week of going to guitar lessons and just playing notes from a book, going, is this my life now at 10? I know, right? The problems you have at 10. Anyways, so I did that for 10 years, and now I continued it even after I was forced against my will to take lessons. Now I've been playing for about 45 years. Well, it's funny. I have the same number of guitars that I have podcasts. I have 9 guitars, keyboard, all the stuff, all the fun things, enough guitar amps to fill a pretty good sized van, sound equipment, recording mixers and speakers and on and on and on. Yeah, I have enough to do a full band practice in my house, and you don't have to bring anything, really. So I love music. And as a musician, I'm going to kind of insert a little of my music nerddom for you here today in the podcast. As a musician, there are some things that are quite important. And I'm going to kind of go through them today with you on the show. And because this isn't a podcast about music, I'm going to compare and contrast this to how you and I, whether or not you're a musician or not, or even love music, how we can take the lessons from a music experience in a band and playing an instrument and all that and bring it over to podcasting to make your show better. So again, whether you love music or not, whether you have 9 guitars or not, welcome to the show. We're going to get a little bit musical today, and we're going to tune in to being a better podcaster. Kind of nice. Nice to be here. Let's go. So if you want something fun to do, because you have like tons of time on your hands and you're like, I'm between episodes of the How to Podcast series. I don't know what to do today. Maybe it's an off day. Maybe I'll go, it's a Thursday. Let's go, or Tuesday. Let's go to the local guitar shop and let's just go in and see what's happening. And this is what you might hear at the local guitar shop because, well, people are learning. People are practicing with the guitars, playing around and trying to figure out, A, how to kill a bunch of time for free and put the guitar back on the wall and walk out because you don't have the money to buy the guitar anyway, but at least you get to play one. Or, yeah, and when you walk in, this is what you're going to hear, and it's going to feel you're going to leave because this is kind of the sounds that come out of a local music store at about 2 p.m. on a Tuesday or Thursday afternoon. See if this resonates with you. So that's, I have heard that so many times. And then walk next, like into the next room, and it's a drum room. And just imagine the fun that's happening in there with a 4-year-old with running around with a pair of sticks, hitting everything that looks like it could be hit. That's fun. And then adults chasing them around the room, trying to get them from stop banging on stuff. Welcome to your local music shop. And imagine working there 40 hours a week and hearing that all the time. Well, that would be fun. And that's why people quit. Right? Okay. One thing you're getting from that little clip of all these random guitars, A, the guitars are out of tune. B, the people really don't know what they're doing. And they're kind of noodling. There's a word, noodling. They're just noodling around and playing whatever they know how to play and just doing it over and over and over and over and over. And when they do that, it's them trying to find out, A, if they like the guitar, and B, if they can actually play. I was that person a long 40 years ago, sitting in the guitar store doing that. Now, hopefully I don't sound that bad. I've been working on it for a long time, and I've done a lot of recording, so no, hopefully a little bit better than that. But we all start somewhere, and that is a bunch of people starting. And it sounds not great. And when we start our podcast, guess what? As best as you can when you're doing a podcast, and as best as you are on the microphone, you haven't done this before. You're new. You don't know how all these things work. You haven't found your voice. You're playing with new technology. You're editing a podcast. You're recording yourself. You're doing an interview. All of these things are net new because you've never done them before. You haven't gone to school for this. You're not a radio person. Hey, welcome to the morning show. Yeah. That's not you. You are a average person like me who has a passion and a story to share. And the idea of recording seems a little daunting because you've never done this before. So give yourself some grace. We all start somewhere. And like that clip of the guitar store, a lot of podcasts sound like that at the beginning, and that's nothing to be embarrassed about. I am not mocking anybody for starting on guitar. It's a lot of work. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of notes. Your fingers have to do weird things. Your fingers hurt because that's metal. You're pushing your flesh against metal strings. That's not fun. That's not fun for anybody. You're learning how to do all these things, and in the process, you're going to find your inner musician, your inner Eddie Van Halen, your inner Tommy Emmanuel, Eric Johnson. These are all guitar players, by the way. Stevie Ray Vaughan. You're going to find your inner you as you get on there and start playing. You're going to find out what you like and what you don't like. Again, I don't like accordions. I'm sorry. If you have an accordion podcast, I'm sure it's great. I'm not an accordion person. My grandmother was. She offered me her accordion, and I said no. Oh, well. But I love guitars. So I've found my spot, and it takes time for you to develop that. And that all comes from practice. That comes from you just showing up, opening the guitar case that's been closed for an extended period of time, taking the guitar, tuning it up like it should be in tune, like guitars actually have a tuning so it sounds not horrible. You have to tune the guitar, and you have to tune yourself through practice, rehearsal, learning notes and chords and structure and language. You need to learn all these things. And in podcasting, you have a learning curve. So pulling the guitar out of the case and expecting to be perfect is not going to happen. Pulling a microphone out of a box from Amazon, clicking it into your computer and pressing record and think you're going to be great is unreasonable. And you're putting too much pressure on yourself. It takes practice and rehearsal and time and commitment and effort and showing up on a regular basis to get to where you want to be. And expecting yourself to be perfect on the first day is not something you should do to yourself. No guitar player does that, and you shouldn't do it either. So let's jump into how we're going to tune in and how we're going to harmonize with our guests and our audience. I think you're going to like this one. Just as a band that's out of tune and unprepared can turn off an entire audience, have people stand up and walk for the exit, a podcast that lacks preparation and connection with its guests and or its listeners can feel awkward and unengaging. When everything is in sync, the guest, the host, the audience, the content, The result is a show that resonates and leaves listeners wanting more and yelling encore at the end of your production and the end of your podcast. Your podcast is a performance. It is. Your preparation and your connection matter when you look at your podcast through the lens of it being a performance in front of an audience. Imagine a band taking the stage. If the instruments are all out of tune and the musicians haven't even practiced together, they don't even know each other. Like they just met just on the stage randomly. The music was going to be jarring, unpleasant, disorganized. It's going to lack any kind of cohesive feel at all. Nobody's listening to each other. Everybody's so focused on their own instruments. There's no interaction. It's all disjointed. And for you as an audience member, you're like, what the heck is going on here? Why do these people sound like they just met 3 seconds ago? Well, they just did. And it's really hard to pull off something great when you don't even know who you're playing with, what the song is, what key it's in, who's the lead, whatever, who's playing drums. I don't know. Do you know how to play drums? I don't know. I've never tried. All these things seem very disorganized from an audience perspective. And what I fear is people are coming to our podcast when we first start out and we haven't committed to becoming better as podcasters. I believe wholeheartedly that every episode of your podcast should be a slight percentage better than the last one. That shows growth. That shows that you're finding your voice. You're finding the tone of your show. Your interviews are getting better. Your questions are getting better. They're tighter. They're more to the point. I give an example. A podcast about podcasting where the podcaster interviews other podcasters. This host will ask like 5 different questions for one question. And as a listener, I'm even confused. I don't even remember what they said. So their poor guest has to filter through multiple layers of questions, and they don't even know where to start. And you hear it in their responses. They're like, wow, where do I even begin? That's a bad question. As you do this, you should be improving. If you're not getting better and you're not getting feedback, there's a miss here. Musicians get feedback. It's called applause. It's also called people leaving the room. That's feedback. We also get feedback from our guitars when we're too close to the amp. Feedback is something that happens naturally as a musician. I have stood in front of large groups and tiny, tiny groups. And I've played in parking lots, in bars, at festivals, in studios. I've opened for big names. I've been an opener for big names. You get instant feedback from an audience, big or small, as soon as you hit your first note. And as soon as the lights come up for the first time, instant feedback. You'll hear it. You watch any video of any band on YouTube, a live concert, and watch the feedback coming to the stage from the audience. It's palpable. It's just amazing when it's all working. And when it's not, you'll know, because you'll get a bottle thrown at you. You're going to have people screaming at you that you suck and people leaving. And that's feedback. So as podcasters, we need to be in this process of getting better in front of our audience, building our skills, building our talents and abilities in real time, so that when we look back at where we started, it sounds better than this and sounds a little bit more like this. When the band is cooking and everything's going well, the audience is captivated by what they're seeing and hearing in real time. That's why people go to shows. They want to see and hear their favorite musician and artist in person. I've heard you on the radio. I've heard you on Spotify or YouTube, and I've heard all the big hype about you as an artist. Now I get to see you do something live. It's the best. I still think live music is great. People are moved and captivated. They just love to interact with somebody in a live setting. They're always eager for more when it's done well. They call for an encore because they want that connection to keep going. They want you to come back to the stage and give us a few more songs. They don't want the night to end. And that's what I hope for you in the podcast, is that people are just dying to stay to the end, dying to ask for more. They want more content from you and more often. They want more connection. They want to respond to your emails, your DMs, your calls to action, your pathways to engagement. They just want more of you. And when you put something in front of them, merch, whatever, they eat it up like mad because they just have bought into who you are. They will proudly wear your concert t-shirt, your podcast t-shirt, because they love who you are and that you continue to bring them great things on a regular basis. A band and a musical act is very similar to your podcast. And your audience can be that rabid fans of your show where they just love what you do. So how are we going to make that happen? Well, part of it is the fact that we're not in tune with our audience, and we really need to tune into who they are, what their needs are, tuning into our guest and how to serve them, tuning into our content and how to make it better, and tuning into who we are as a human being and improving to the point where people can see there's progress. And when, again, going back to the interviewer with 5 questions for a single question layered on top of each other, going in circles like a dizzy cat, that person's not growing because they're not putting the effort in to get better at asking better questions. And maybe somebody just never told them, listen, your questions are all over the place and I don't even know how to answer these. So could you just ask a single question, please? 1, and then let's come back and ask question number 2 later. Please. It's very distracting. It needs some help. And I'd love to help you, but you're not reaching out, so I can't help you. So please, reach out. I love you. I want to help you. Please, go on. Stop it. When a host is unprepared, guests feel awkward. The questions feel disconnected. Conversations meander all over the place. There just doesn't feel like there's any kind of pathway here. It's like an open field and just go anywhere you want instead of a path that leads you to a certain place. And listeners quickly tune out because they're not connecting. And people will stand up and walk out of a gig when they're not connecting with the band. They don't like the songs. They don't like the singer. They don't like the guitars. They don't like the sound. It's too loud, too soft. There's so many parallels to podcasting. When the host is well prepared and the guests are comfortable on your show and the content is relevant and engaging, the podcast becomes a memorable experience that people want more of. Listeners feel seen. Guests feel heard and understood and honored. And they can't wait for the next episode. And guests can't wait to come back. So what are some practical action steps to help build a more effective and engaging podcast? I got a bunch for you. Let's jump through and see what we can come up with together. First, prepare like a professional musician for your podcast. If you have guests on your show, do your research. Learn about your guest's background, expertise, and recent work. This really helps you to ask insightful questions and foster genuine conversation. I had an author on who has a book, and when we met, I did my research. I found out that he loves music, and he's been a musician. Now, that could mean anything when you see the word a musician. So I brought it up in the interview, and turns out he's not just a musician. He was part of the Wu-Tang Clan, right? If you know anything about that, you'll be like, wait, what? Yes. And he was on my show. I could have easily just skipped the whole musician question, but I'm a curious musician and I love music, so we have that in common, so why not leverage that in the conversation? And I'm like, you're what? So, yeah, no, I would have missed it if I wasn't paying attention. So research your guest. What do they do? What do they like? Go on their Instagram. What are they happy and proud about? They're posting about it, so they must like it to some degree. So ask them, what's up with the thing? I had another author on, and I watched her video of her unboxing her book. She just got a new book. She got the box delivered to her house, and she can see her going through it. And I mentioned that I watched it, and I watched her open it with a box cutter, and then she whipped the box cutter across the room. I'm like, that's not very safe. But it's just the fact that I was able to go through and notice things about my guests that made them feel honored, treasured, special, unique, because I took some time to do my research. So research your guest. What do you know about them? What do you not know? Figure it out. Also, outline your episode. Create a clear structure for where you want to go where in your show, especially if you are one that's easily distracted like a squirrel. You're all over the place. You need something to kind of keep you in line, and so you know if you're going to go to A to B to C to D. Otherwise, if you're just going to wing it, it is a complete disorganized mess for your audience, and your guest will feel on the edge of their seat the whole time, and they don't know what's coming next. Outline your episode. Let your guests know where you're going in the conversation so they can anticipate kind of the beats of the show and where you're going next. We have, as a band, we have a set list. We're going to start with this song. This is going to be the slow part. This is where we come back from the slow part. Here's the final song, and here's the 3 songs we have for an encore, because, encores are really just 3 extra songs that we were going to do anyway. But yeah, we have a set list. Does your podcast have a set list? Do you follow it? It's one thing to write out a set list. It's another thing to ignore it completely. We have a set list. I know that this next song's what key it's going to be in, how many beats per minute. I know the intro, the outro. I have my own little language that I write out as a bass player for this one band. I already know everything. I can anticipate. That makes tighter intros, outros, clean gaps between songs where one song ends and there's not this huge cricket sound where we're like all changing and wondering what's next. What song you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. What song do you like? Let's do this one. No, I don't like that one. Let's do this one. Imagine watching that on stage. You're like, do you people even know what you're doing? And as a podcaster, I'm hearing that from interviewers. They don't know what the next question is. They don't know what they're doing. They have no idea. They're just kind of winging it, hoping for the best. Doesn't make for a great experience. And it doesn't make people want to buy tickets and come back. Just like a band. Know where you're going. And do a tech check. Test your equipment, your internet connection, recording software before each episode to avoid any type of technical glitches. I was a guest on a show, and they were using a different platform to record online, like an online recording tool. And I thought I did all of the settings correctly and pushed all the buttons to make sure to identify my mic. But in the process of getting it all set up, first of all, we went right live immediately. There was no gap really to kind of go through and make sure everything was right before we hit record. We were live out of the gate. And apparently my mic was set to my webcam, which is 4 feet from me. So my sound was butt awful. And when I listened to the clips, I'm like, oh gosh. Now, I don't normally use this platform, and so in that way, I didn't have it set up to the right specs, even though I thought I clicked all the buttons, and I didn't, because I was rushed and hurried into the room. So make sure everything's working. It still happens. It can happen to anybody anytime, so double, triple check that the mic you want is the mic you're using, and everything's working properly. The next part, around some action steps to build a more effective and engaging podcast in tune with your audience, is to rehearse and refine. Did you know that a 1-hour live event could take weeks or months of rehearsal time for the band to go over, write songs, tweak songs, figure out the order, work on intros and outros over and over and over and over, work on all those breaks, where all the music stops and the drummer's just playing. All that stuff is not off the cuff. There's some practice, there's some listening and learning from each other that happens in rehearsal. Before I go into studio, we know, because studio time is expensive, we're not just going to sit around and see what happens. Not when you're paying that much money. No, you better be ready. We go in and we bang out these tracks as fast as possible to make every penny worth it in the studio. You don't have time to goof around. You better know your stuff. And as podcasters, I just get this feeling I'm just going to go live and see what happens. Well, really? Is that a great idea for your audience? Just go live and see what happens? And I'm not going to edit because everything I say is gold. Well, there's actually something to say for practicing and getting better at something and knowing your craft and understanding your instrument, being your voice, your mic, for me, my guitars. You got to know how all these things work. If anything fails, you got to know what to do. If you're new to interviewing, you need to practice interviewing. The idea that you're going to go and create an interview-based podcast, you've never done this before. You've never interviewed anybody before. You've been interviewed for jobs, to get married. That's about it, right? You've interviewed your babysitter. Maybe that's it, to work for you and babysit your kids. That's all you've ever done. You've never been on a microphone before. You don't know technology. You don't know what you're doing. And the idea that you can just buy a mic, get a guest, and start a show without actually practicing interviewing seems daunting, doesn't it? Well, you need to practice, just like a guitar. I could go buy a guitar today. My wife would be very angry. I could go buy a guitar today and start playing, but I don't expect to be great. Just because I bought an instrument doesn't make me great. Just like buying a car. I understand why people get compliments on their cars all the time, like they actually built it. No, I just went to the store and bought it. It's like somebody complimenting you on your clothes. Look at that coat. I love it. Well, I didn't actually make it. I just paid $20 for it, but thanks. Right? I don't understand. The idea that you can just buy a microphone and be a podcaster without any type of practice or investment of time to learn how to be a podcaster, it's kind of in the name of the show, it's something that we need to invest in. It's going to take time. We need to practice. We need to spend time with other people who podcast and practice with them. We need to be a guest on shows and understand the other side of the mic and how to respond to questions so we can ask better questions. All of these things can be things that we use as our tools, our instruments, to be a better podcaster. It'll help you with your confidence and it'll improve the flow of your show. And it'll feel like seconds have gone by and it's been 45 minutes with your guest. It's like, wow, that was fun. That's what you want from your guest, that kind of feedback. We also need to review our past episodes. Listen to previous episodes to identify what worked and what could be improved. There's always room for improvement, no matter what you're doing. Adjust your approach as needed. For us as band members, when we come back to our next rehearsal after an event, we do a debriefing. We talk about it. What did you think? What went well? What didn't work well? I think this song would do better with that song instead of where we put it in the set. And the audience really didn't respond to this song, and I think we need to work on this song better. The intro was a little rough. That's a debriefing. That's a recap. That's information that makes the next show better. If you never talk about the last event and the last thing you did, your last gig, you're never going to improve. You're just going to keep recycling the bad habits you do all the time, and you'll lose people. So review your past episodes. And according to the name of the show, this episode, we need to tune in to our audience. It's super important. We need to know our listeners. We need to know our audience. We need to understand who our audience is, what they care about, and what problems they want solved. It could even just be to be entertained. We need to tailor our content to the interests and needs of our audience. When a band is self-focused, navel-gazing, I like to call it, where they don't even care about the people in front of them, they don't care about the interactions, they don't care about any of it, they're just there to do a thing and collect the money and go, it shows. We need to focus our attention on the audience. There's more of them, hopefully, than there are of you on the stage. We need to focus on where the majority of the people are, and they're in the seats. That's the show. The show is not you with your guitar and your mic. The show is the audience, and you're there to facilitate a great experience. We need to solicit feedback. We need to encourage our listeners to share their thoughts, questions, suggestions, and use their feedback to refine and define our show It's what happens at every concert. When people are banging the seats and stomping their feet for more, that's feedback. When people are leaving through the first song because they hate it, that's feedback. You're getting feedback. It's called your stats. People are talking to you without saying a single word just by their behavior. So if you want to know what's happening in your show, go look at your stats. It's going to tell you so much about what's going on, who's connecting, who's sticking around, who wants more. It's all there in your stats. If you don't know how to read your stats, reach out. I'd love to help you. But you need to tune into your audience and tune into what they want. That's our role as a podcaster. We also need to create a welcoming environment for our guests. My Living the Next Chapter podcast has been around for just over 3 years, 580 episodes recorded in 3 years. And each episode's about 45 minutes. I do a pre-chat with everyone who comes on my show. So I talk to every guest twice. And it takes a lot of work. That show alone requires, of my week, about 10 to 12, 10 to 15 interviews, pre-interviews a week, just for one podcast. Now, when I create a welcoming place for my guests, that's my sole focus. That's what I do on that show, is I want my guest to walk away going, that was the best conversation ever. Not because of Dave, but because the guest felt seen, heard, and was given a platform to really shine. That show breaks all of the norms of all the other gurus who are going to tell you to do the opposite of what I do on that show. In that show, Living the Next Chapter, I'm not an author. So I don't have any personal experience about writing a book, and I've never done it. So I'm just curious about how an author writes a book. That's the premise of the show. And it's interesting because in that, it's not about me. It's not about my opinion. It's not about what Dave thinks. It's not about growing my community for Dave, because I'm just the facilitator in the show. It's about my guest. So to break all the norms of all the gurus out there, a lot of people are going to tell you they hate doing this and they hate people who do this. So I'm one of the hated. So there you go. Hi, welcome to the show. One of them is I have a clip from the conversation I bring to the beginning of the episode. Now, why do I do that? Because I want to be trendy and do what other people do? No. I do it because every episode is about my guest. So the first person I want you to be introduced to you as a listener is the guest. So I don't come on and go, hi, this is Dave. Welcome to Living the Next Chapter. And here's my guest. No, you just press play and every episode has a different voice beginning the podcast. I want variety and I want people to connect with the guest first. So I pull a clip from the recording, generally near the end, because not everybody listens to the entirety of every episode. You know that. So I move it to the front. And the other thing is it reinforces that clip twice. So it's a key moment that I felt was important enough to share with you so that you got it twice. And for my listeners, some of the feedback I've had is people are actually on a mystery hunt to find out where that clip lands within the conversation. They're trying to figure out, well, I heard it at the beginning. Now I'm waiting to see if it's here. And they have to do this like discovery to find the original location within the total conversation where the clip came from. So that's fun for them. It works. So everything in that show is about my guest. It's the first thing you hear is their voice. And I would say most of the time, 99% of the time, the guest is the last voice you hear when we leave because it's all about them. It's not about me. I don't have a course. I'm not a guru to help you write your book. I don't have any experience in writing a book. It's about my guest. So despite what the gurus say, and I'm doing it all wrong, remember, you have to do it this way. No, I'm doing it my way and I'm enjoying it. So I like to create a welcoming environment for all my guests. I want to brief my guests on what's going to happen. I explain to them how the show works, who my audience is. That's what I do in my pre-chat about a week or so before we actually record. I share the episode format, the key topics, any questions in advance. I get all their questions about the show and how it works. A lot of my guests are first-timers as a guest. This helps your guest to feel prepared and confident. And that pre-chat just lowers their shoulders. They're not meeting me and trying to have a conversation right out of the gate. We meet, we talk, we build a bridge, and we come back and record later. And be a good listener. As the host of the show, when you have a guest on your podcast, during the interview, listen actively and respond thoughtfully. Acknowledge their answers, acknowledge their pain, acknowledge that story. Go a little bit deeper. How did you feel in that moment when that thing happened? What does it feel like to get your book delivered to your house for the first time? You just wrote it and you got the first copy. What does it feel like? You get some amazing stories that come back from your guests that are unplanned, unrehearsed, and in the moment. A true reaction. And that's what your audience loves to hear, is a true reaction from another human. And a story trumps a stat any day of the week. Get the story. Get the story. That's what every journalist has to do. Go get the story. Listen actively, respond thoughtfully. All of these things combined helps your guest to feel valued and encourages more and deeper, authentic conversation within your show. Create a welcoming environment for your guests. Be in tune with your guest, people. Come on. Next is to deliver a memorable experience. I remember walking out of Van Halen in Toronto, my ears ringing. Everything smelt funny, if you know what I mean, from the people around me. I had like a weird headache. It's not really what I do, but it was there. I don't understand how that happens in a non-smoking building. But anyways, let's keep moving forward, Dave. I remember walking out and there's this buzz from people. We just saw something great. It was the last time that Eddie Van Halen played in Toronto. And we had floor seats in the center ice, like underneath the big clock where they drop the puck at hockey games. If you don't know what a hockey game is, that's a big sheet of ice and things. But we were like right by the sound booth. The best sound in the room. Floor seats, right on the floor. Yeah, it was amazing. And the buzz as people walk out to transit their cars out into the parking lot. Everyone's talking about what just happened there. I want that experience for you and your show. I want people that come to the end of the episode and stay because they want to, not because they were asked to, but they stay to the end of the episode because they just loved what happened there. They're like, oh my gosh, that was the best thing ever. And as they walk to their cars and they're going to tell people, did you go to the show last night? I was at Van Halen. It was friggin' awesome. I can't hear anything. My ears are ringing, right? And I have a headache, but it was so cool. That's what you want for your show. You want people to walk away from your podcast and you're memorable, not forgettable. Like, what was that show I listened to about the guy with the thing? I don't know. You want to be memorable. Deliver a memorable experience in your podcast. Be authentic. Let your personality shine through. You're hearing me today. Be Dave. Let your personality shine through. When you're authentic, it builds trust and connection with your audience. People feel like they know you because they're hearing you talk in a genuine way. And always end with a pathway to engagement, call to action for you old schoolers. Ignite your listeners to subscribe and leave reviews. Buy you a coffee. You can do all these things at howtopodcast.ca or join your community like my meetup. You should be there. This keeps people engaged and they want to come back for more. There's more to do after the episode. And people will respond if they love what you do. So if you love what I'm doing here, please respond at howtopodcast.ca. Lastly, follow up and reflect. Always thank your guests. Send them a thank you note or share the episode with your guest. This is the one thing for me. I'm kind of talking to myself here because with all of the different shows that I have, I am stretched. My calendar is so stretched. People are like, how the heck do you do this? Well, one of the things I'm not doing well is that connection after the fact. Kind of doing it okay version of it through Living the Next Chapter, but I know in all my other shows I could do it better, even this show. That's thank you note, that review, that interaction post interview. I know that's something I got to work on. It's always in front of me. It always bothers me that it's not as good as it could be. But when you do this right, this really does strengthen your relationship and encourages future collaboration. People will remember you for how you treated them. And then also evaluate your own performance. After your episode is done and published, reflect on what went well, just like band, and what could be improved, what could be a little bit better, like just 1% better next time. Continuous improvement is the key to long-term success. Evaluate your performance. If you don't know how to evaluate your performance, then maybe ask for someone else to sit in that chair and evaluate your show for you. I know it feels weird to have somebody do this, but every author has an editor. Every author has a beta reader who reads their book ahead of the release before it's all done to make sure that you make sense and your grammar's good and everything works and all the characters work and everything fits together. It's part of writing a book. Nobody has the audacity to say, well, I wrote the book, so it's perfect. I don't need it to be edited or reviewed. Let's just publish this puppy. No, you need that feedback. And for you as a podcaster, if you're running on the fact that you think you're just this amazing podcaster who doesn't need feedback, I'm telling you, you're probably the one who needs it the most. So if you need feedback, you and I can listen to an episode together online, you and I in the same Zoom room, and we'll pause it and work together and say, how could we make this like 1% better? In a loving, caring way without making you feel stupid, like some gurus do. They turn it into a sport where they just knock you down because they think they're better than you. No, that's not how we do things here. So if you want feedback on your show, and you should, then reach out to me. I don't understand why you're not getting feedback on your podcast. It could always be better. I know you love it, but it could be better. And an outside point of view, it might be the perfect thing that you need to make your show do better than it's doing right now. My show's not growing. Are you getting feedback? No. Are you practicing? No. Are you getting 1% better every episode? No. Well, guess why your podcast isn't growing? People don't like it. People aren't connecting with you. People are not having a great experience. Nobody's talking about you when it's done. Let's make it better. howtopodcast.ca. Just as a great band leaves the crowd cheering for more, thumping on the chairs and stomping their feet, buying all their merch in the entranceway, sharing that show with everybody, phones in the air, capturing the moment. A podcast that's well-prepared, audience-focused, will have listeners eagerly awaiting the next episode and the next interaction. By tuning into your guests and your audience, and by putting in the practice and the preparation, creating a set list so you know where you're going in the show, you're going to create a show that resonates and calls out for an encore. I want that for you. I want you to get a great response. You put a lot of work into this. You care about your podcast, right? You care about what you're doing. Otherwise, you could be doing something else. So you should be rewarded for the level of care and love that you have for your show. You deserve that. So let's get you there. Let's get you to the point where you see the results that you're longing for. It's time to stop sounding like this, and it's time to start sounding more like this. Your show deserves to be better. Your audience deserves a great podcast. You, as the host of your show, deserve to get the respect you have earned by being a podcaster. You deserve great things. And it comes through practice, it comes through a plan, and it comes through getting some real solid advice to make your show better. If that's interesting to you, and you're still here, reach out to me at howtopodcast.ca. And if you're listening on Spotify, I'm calling it Spotify right now because that's the one I use, there's a comment section for this episode. And all I want you to do is put in your favorite band name, artist, singer, whatever, into the comments. That's it. Just put the name of your favorite band. I'm always looking for music to listen to, but So for me, if I was responding to this episode, it would just be Van Halen. That's it. I would type in Van Halen into the comments. I want to see how many comments I can get for this episode. So look at your phone if you're on Spotify. Then type it in right now. I want to see who my Spotify people are. So I know you're listening on Apple, and I know you're listening on this and on that. I still love you guys. Thank you for being here. But I'm just calling out my Spotify people right now. Where are you? Type in the name of a band, an artist, something. A concert you've been to, somebody you just, in your mind right now, you're like, oh, type it in. I want to see how many people will respond. Thanks. And from the stage to you in the audience, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing the show. We'll go buy the merch, see the merch table. And thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you. Need any help? Reach out. Cheers. Hey, thanks for being here. Thank you for listening to the end of the podcast. You're here with me. I'm so grateful. I want to put something in front of you. For the person that's listened this far, you're my new best friend. So what I'm trying to do every month is I have a goal, and you can help me with this goal. Very simple. What I'm trying to do is have 5 conversations this month with listeners of the How to Podcast series. You don't have to have a podcast to respond. This can be the first time ever that we're going to have a conversation, but I'm looking to talk to 5 people. Now, you're still here, so you're one of the people that I would love to talk to next. So on my howtopodcast.ca website is a calendar, and I'd love to have you respond on howtopodcast.ca. Just click the calendar link, set up time in my calendar, and in the comments section for the meeting, just put something like listener. That's it. If you have a show, put it in the comments too so I can go listen. But if you don't, I just want to talk to 5 listeners every month from now to the end of the month. So if you're listening to me right now, you're the person I want to talk to. And through howtopodcast.ca, you and I can get together, chat about the show, chat about your journey as a podcaster. Where are you at? What do you need this show to become for you? What's missing? Your feedback. I just want to meet you. And as podcasters, I would encourage you to do something similar to this in your podcast so that you can meet and interact with your audience. So, howtopodcast.ca, I'm looking to talk to 5 people every month, and I would love for you to be one of them. Reach out. It's free. I'm not selling you anything. I just want to talk to you at howtopodcast.ca. Let's get in the calendar and chat. Thanks for listening.